Welcome, gentlemen, to another edition of Talking Men at Inspire Elsie's Radio. It's such a pleasure once again to be with you all and with our guest, Imraahn Mukaddam. Remember, this is the show where we talk about your questions, so please, that WhatsApp number, grab it on the website or on the Facebook page and send us your questions. We talk about your questions your way, and as always, our commitment is not to just give advice. If I give advice, I assume that I know better than you, and I don't think that's helpful. As a life coach myself with Pivot Point Life Coaching, advice giving, Imraahn, what was the worst advice that you've ever gotten?
I think the worst advice, and I don't want to put my mom on the spot, but throughout my life, in my relationship with my father, she said, "Wees maar altyd die minste my kind." It carried me through for most of my life, but it also, the moment I broke that cycle of understanding that I'm not the least, that I can be more than what I am, it changed my perception on things.
Yeah.
But my mom is a very beautiful and a very humble person, and her way of dealing with conflict and with challenges was to pull back. So I think it was only when I rebelled against that I realized that it's not always the best solution.
Yeah, context is important, right? And what's happening in the room. And to our dear friends there, you're part of the lounge where we're sitting there. I want to remind you, a few weeks ago, a similar thing came up, and we were, it was Franklin, yes, a few episodes ago. Do go and watch it. But he reminded us to spend time with ourselves as men. Every morning, 5 to 10 minutes, without phones, without radios and music, but just me and myself, and to figure out who am I and how do I want to show up today. And because that is very important, what you've just said is to be the least can remove conflict, but to always be the least can make yourself small, and it leads to all kinds of frustration. So remember my promise, that's a tool that we can always use. Imraahn, I feel so humbled to sit here. I was a bit naughty. I Googled him before the show. And you have such a rich history of activism from the 70s, and various other things. You lead the Inspire process, and there's so much that you've done. But for our viewers and listeners, I would like us to today just to connect with you as Imraahn, just the person.
Sure.
And as I do with every episode, the first question is always, if you are not a father, a brother, or a child, or a partner, or an activist, who are you at your essence?
It's a tricky question.
That's why I'm naughty to ask it.
Yeah, at my essence, I'm a 12-year-old boy with confidence that creeps into his 12-year-old self every time he has to face a challenge. And so, yeah, that's the essence. I'm still 12 years old.
So when the 12-year-old needs to creep out and show up, who are you then?
Well, a 12-year-old has different traits. A 12-year-old is inquisitive. A 12-year-old is naughty. A 12-year-old is fantasizes a lot. A 12-year-old lives in a dream. A 12-year-old, has expectations, and the 12-year-old also is vulnerable.
Yeah.
So all those characteristics, but in essence, alhamdulillah, praise be to God, this year I'm 60 years old, but in year I'm still 12 years old, meaning I'm still young in terms of how I see life, how I see challenges, how I see the future. I know I'm not going to live another 60 years, but I feel as if I can still contribute for another 60 years. So,
Alhamdulillah.
So that to me is the essence of. So 12-year-old is fine.
It's fine by you.
It's fine by me to be 12 years old.
In our short discussion before the show, you've mentioned that by the nature of your life, you've had to reinvent yourself a lot. And I think there's a lot of our viewers that can relate to that. You know, we live in very strange times with AI and jobs going and jobs coming. But my question is, those characteristics of a 12-year-old, how have those helped you to reinvent?
Yeah, I think most importantly is the fascination with technology, the fascination with new ideas, the fascination with how society and everything about it has evolved in my 60 years. I think our generation is the only generation that had to deal with so much rapid change at the pace that is, I mean, when I was 10 years old, it was 1975, 76.
Yeah.
That's when television came. When I was 20 years old, that's when cell phones came, and computers. And so the past 50 years of innovation in human technology, I lived through that. My generation lived through it. But the difference between some of us and others is some embraced it and some just flowed with it. Those that embraced it actually was able to get the most relevance and stay relevant. So reinventing yourself is a process of remaining relevant as the society around you adapts to the new technology, to the changes. Alvin Toffler says in his book, The Fourth Revolution, I think it is, The Fourth Wave. He says that the person that will be in the 21st century successful is the one that can learn and unlearn and relearn. If you're not able to unlearn and relearn, that is adapting to the situation around us. And we've seen societally as well how society has changed, norms and values have changed, and we need to adapt to that as well. And that's the reality, the lived reality, that is so fascinating, but also so daunting and so intimidating, is that as technology changes, so also human values are changing at a pace that what was unacceptable 5 years ago is now very acceptable, and what was acceptable 5 years ago is now very unacceptable in terms of societal norms and what society sees as being human values. So we have to navigate our lived reality. So that is why we have to be very conscious in ourselves. So being a conscious human being, being conscious of your surroundings, of the lived reality, and of the society in which you find yourself in. That is what makes you able to adapt, but also to be an influencer in that society. And I live my life as somebody that wants to make a difference. So my mission in life is to leave the planet in a better condition than what we found it. It's my world vision. I know it's not possible. It might not be possible right now, But
good luck on that with some of the leaders we have now.
With some of the leaders we have, of
Yeah.
course. But in terms of how God has bestowed upon us technological innovation in terms of just food production, that we can eliminate hunger quite easily in the 21st century. We can eliminate pollution and climate harm quite easily. We can, deliver energy quite easily as technology evolves. Communication has become very easy. Our understanding of what makes up a community has changed considerably. So technology has made, not only technology but human evolving. The evolving of the human conscience has progressed to the extent that we can look at the world in 20, 30 years' time that is better than the world that we have now. But the current challenges is that our children are not able to have the privileges that we have. It's much more difficult for my son to buy his own house than it is for me, than it was for me 30 years ago. It's much more difficult for him to participate in the economy as freely as I do now, because of the challenges that they have in access to finance, access to opportunities, access to resources. So our current generation, I think, this, I don't know what they call it, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, G, whatever. There's a lot of But I think the current generation is actually the ones that are really facing the worst of the challenges of this radical change that's happening in human society. Together with technology, we're also now dealing with AI, we're dealing with new challenges. But all of these have huge positive outcomes or potential positive outcomes. So we have to embrace it, but also be mindful of the loopholes and the dangers and the potential hazards that it has, and how that will, in the long run, we have to build a resilience, and we have to build a outer garment of protection against the influence of new technology and also new values in society. So the thing that keeps you grounded, and I think this is most important in terms of who I am as a person, if you want to ask who I am as a person, is the one thing that keeps you grounded is faith. That if you believe in the essence of the universe, we're not going to say you believe in God, but if you believe in the essence of the universe, that the universe has an essence that encompasses all that is good and all that is bad. But the essence of the universe, the almighty essence of the universe, the order of the universe, the natural order of things, is that in that natural order of things, good will prevail over evil. So if you have that values that says that good must prevail over evil, and the weak must be protected, the weak must be the oppressed. If you have a value based on that oppression is a rebellion against the universal order of things.
No, that's true.
You see, so when you are rebelling against the universal order of goodness, as ordained by the essence of the universe, everything has its natural order. So anything that rebels against that natural order upsets the balance. And once you have this understanding of philosophical understanding that you have a role to play in restoring balance in society, in life, in technology, in every aspect of existence, and that your role is not to fix everything but to contribute to restoring the natural order.
I want to take you back to that 12-year-old and the curiosity. Because I think a message that comes through to men a lot. Nowadays, you don't even need an influencer. You guys know. You don't even need an influencer to say it because the AI tells you. I can ask my phone, I don't have a job. Which jobs are easy to get? And it will give me a list. And that thing of everything is possible, a positive message can sometimes come across as something really, really heavy. Because there's so many, you can be doing this, you should be doing this, etc. So and I want to make this very practical. The generation after you is kind of 40, 45. The generation after them is like 20, 30. The generation after them is in diapers. But for the men out there that either have a job that they hate, but it's the only job that they can get, or guys that are sitting at home with that frustration because the messaging that comes from social media on so many angles is that this is the time of opportunity, but the access to that opportunity is so narrow. So I don't want us to talk about the opportunity as much as how do I move myself to get off the couch and be curious. How do I become that 12-year-old curious guy that thinks solution-based and not problem-based when there's so much around me just pushing back?
I think the biggest flaw we have as human beings is our self-pity and our lack of self-confidence. And sometimes
I think you need to say that again.
I think the biggest flaw that we have is self-pity.
Self-pity.
And lack of self-confidence.
Lack of self-confidence.
So understanding that it's not easy. It's very difficult. And it's not... but, our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the Muslim tradition, he teaches us that it's better to sell wood than to beg. So to pick up a few pieces of wood and sell the wood than to have to beg. But it doesn't mean that begging in itself is probably demeaning for the individual. But it doesn't mean that you can't ask for help. But the most important thing that you need is also comes from a philosophical values perspective, is that, and you have to have faith in order to understand this, is that, and my father taught me this, is that whatever was meant for you will not miss you. And whatever wasn't meant for you will always miss you. So it means that you are born with, and it's very, very difficult to understand the concept, but you are born with your sustenance provided. It is for you to search for it and stand up and find it. So for somebody that's unemployed, what I'm talking is nonsense. It doesn't make sense. How does it mean I don't have income? How can you tell me my sustenance is provided for me, but I don't have income? But then you look at nature and the natural order of things. The bird that wakes up this morning doesn't know where he's going to get his sustenance from for the day. But he finds
that's
it.
in the Christian scriptures as well. Look at the lilies of the field.
Yeah. So every creation has its sustenance set out for it according to our tradition. So it is a question of and when we see hunger, like real hunger, when we see like in Darfur or Sudan or where it is, you know that is not the natural order of things. The hunger, the distortion, even drought itself, when we see natural catastrophes, even those has within it some form of relief. It has to have. You have to be at least believe that it has, in order for you yourself to not become despondent. So despondency is the one thing, and understanding that, you know, a lot of us take too much for granted. That, you know, I'm helpless in my situation, but you're not. These, as you said, your phone today becomes a tool of accessing either a job or accessing a marketplace. So it is a question of action. You know, it's all mindset. You need to shift your mindset in terms of understanding that unless, and this is another thing my father taught me, it was on our fridge in our home, and it's part of our value. Our culture is based around the saying.
Yeah.
It was on this fridge magnet.
Yeah.
On our fridge at home, and I was growing up with this, right? My father had a huge influence on my life. Most of it negative, because I had a very unhealthy relationship with him. But this is one of the things that guides my values, and I try to instill it in my children and whoever is around me. It says, ideas are funny little things. They won't work unless you do.
Oh, wow.
So
ideas are funny little things. They won't work unless you do.
Exactly.
Okay, it feels like we need to, on the show, put it on something here. Wow, ideas won't work unless you do. So I want to hold that concept because it's so powerful. Idea, en ek gaan nou oor sê sorry, maar julle gaan die ene moet onthou. Ideas don't work until you do. Ideas werk nie as jy nie werk nie. But I also hear you, I mean, you've referred back to your family so many times now, and you've spoken about despondency. And I resonate with that. I haven't told my full story on the show yet, but I struggle with long COVID, which means I can't work a full day for like 4 years now, and I need to do what I can to get by. And I've been really blessed with my wife and my 2 sons. I mean, sometimes it's a rocky road, but in those times of despondency, I've hit another fatigue breakdown and I'm struggling to get anything done, so I lie down all day. We don't give advice, but how would you, if you were in that position as a man, mobilize your family? What kind of conversations can men have with their partners and their children so that you're not working, you're not bringing money into the family, and that burden, so that can be transformed into, we as a family are battling these circumstances. I feel despondent. How can men break through that barrier of just acknowledging I'm struggling and turn the conversation to how can we together face this challenge?
Yeah, that's a very, very important conversation to have, is to acknowledge your challenges and acknowledge your condition and your circumstances. And it is critical, that realization that this is where you find yourself. Because without acknowledging this is where I'm at.
And with acknowledging, you mean naming it?
Yeah, understanding that this is where I'm at. I also have issues with depression.
Yeah.
I think the things that depressed me was, like, for instance, what happened with
yeah, absolutely.
One of
wrestling
all the time, where I at times want to understand how this merciful God that makes the sun rise every morning and makes the flowers grow and makes the rain fall and makes the wind blow and makes the seas and has given us so much blessings, at the same time allows for so much destruction, so much suffering, so much human indignity, so much difficulty and suffering, and something we grapple with. So it is, and it's off the topic that the question that you asked me. But as human beings, we have to also understand our situation, and I think it's not acceptance of it, but understanding of it, that we are placed in a situation where there is so much injustice. So being unemployed, being without a job, is not something that you brought upon yourself. It's an injustice that society is inflicting upon you. You're being denied the rightful opportunity to provide for your family. And that understanding that it is an injustice and that you have an obligation to rise against the injustice. So part of rising is saying, I'm not satisfied with I'm not satisfied with allowing society or the system to oppress me. I will rise against it. I will take a position against it. I mean, but I'm not saying this is advice or something. No. I'm a revolutionary. I come from a very, very politicized upbringing. I've very consciously I've developed myself to be a revolutionary in terms of that. I will always challenge the system, challenge the way things are, if that the way it is not according to my understanding of the divine order of things. So I'm a revolutionary in terms of that. I will always strive to in its essence strive towards a more just compensation.
So if I can reflect, by the way, for the guys at home, reflection is a very good tool. If you're struggling with your spouse or your children, it takes time to learn and get the conflict out of the process, but to reflect back. Am I hearing you correctly? Is this what you mean? Can remove so much conflict when a person has the freedom to say, no, that's not what I meant. So don't take offense because it's not what I meant. So just quick side bubble. But if I can mirror back to you, what I'm hearing you say is there's a lot of philosophy behind what you say, but the practical essence of it is I cannot move if I'm victimizing myself, if I'm using my circumstances as a crutch. But then the second step is I can also not get out of that if I don't have a support team. And my immediate support team, it may be friends if I'm not married, but if I have a family, not to exclude them, because it's a fight that we need to fight together. And if I keep on internalizing the fight, it becomes a feedback loop, because I don't win, I victimize, I fight the victimhood, but I'm fighting it alone.
But often the biggest obstacle could be that very family support network that you are referring to. The amount of internal friction within families, the dynamics of families, the relationship, the inability to live up to the expectations of your spouse, your children, the reinforcement that you are incapable, and it happens in many families. It happens
I think
more in most. The resentment that comes from not being able to deliver on those expectations, and especially when you are in a environment where our children are exposed to other children that have much more than we have, and or whose parents are able to give you much more than the opportunities that they have actually you are that becomes part of this Dr. Rapiti, who is a drug counseling specialist, and he believed, and one of the first things that he taught us was that you can't fix the addict if you don't fix the family.
Yeah.
So your immediate family needs to be taught how to cope with the addict, and needs to be taught how to accept that if this person doesn't come right, you still have to live with it. So so the focus needs to be on a whole society approach. So we can only build strong families or strong societies or functioning and thriving societies if we have thriving families, if we have supportive families. So I think a lot of what you end up in life with is who your life partner is. If your partner is somebody that despises you, that is not supportive, that doesn't understand, so it's very, very, very important, and I teach my children this, and I think I'll give any young person advice, is make sure that when you choose a life partner, it's somebody that's compatible with your values and compatible with you, that will be able to stick with you through the thick and thin. And also not somebody that has unrealistic expectations of you as a person, because people marry for esteem, people marry for safety, for
All kinds of interesting reasons.
the immediate environment reinforces that instead of breaking that. So it's important that we, for that individual that finds himself in those circumstances, to, and it's very difficult for me to advise this way, but to find faith in the Creator. To have a strong faith is the only thing that can actually pull you out of there. You have to be resilient and strong in your understanding that this condition is not meant to be. It's not how it's meant to be. Understanding that, we had Human Rights Day on Saturday. You know that every homeless person has the right to say this is not how it's meant to be.
Yes.
Every hungry person has the right to say, my human rights are being violated. It's not how I'm supposed to be. Every unemployed person has the right to say, my right to human dignity is being violated because I'm not being given the opportunity to fend for myself and for my family. So in terms of really having a culture of human rights, I think to me is one of the most fundamental yardsticks in understanding how society should function. So it's in the family dynamics, it is the rights of the father, the rights of the mother, the rights of the child, the rights of the family, that each one of us has rights over each other. And I have the right to my spouse understanding my difficulty that I'm going through. That is my right, that the person that I'm sharing my life with, that I'm giving, must be supportive. It is part of, but it's very difficult to impose that on society.
But it's also vice versa.
But it becomes a value issue. Yeah.
Because my wife has the right to understand why I'm struggling. Because she can see I'm struggling. But if I don't allow her in and disclose and say, this is the thing, I've spent time, I've done my 10 minutes in the morning like Franklin taught me, And the name of the thing I'm struggling with is this. And it may not be easy in the beginning. In the beginning, there may be conflict, and people can accuse you that it's your fault or whatever. But it has to start with somebody, and this is a show for men, so it's going to start with you.
But it's also taking responsibility for your own
Yes.
for your own flaws and your own
Yes.
how you contributed. If you are a gambler, you brought a lot
Yes.
of this upon yourself. If you are somebody that's a philanderer or whatever you want to call it, you've broken that trust. You've created the situation where, if you are somebody that abuses your children, you've created a situation where your own children resent you. So it is about the person themselves correcting themselves, understanding that I'm a flawed human being, as we all are, but knowing what my flaws are and working towards fixing those as well. So a lot of who we are as this person in ourselves is understanding that I am a human being with flaws, and I need to work on my flaws in order to rebuild the confidence and the trust that my family must have in me.
If you don't mind, I want to interrupt you there. We kind of steering towards the close, but what you said now for me is powerful, because I need to name my flaws. I need to take responsibility, but I cannot. It won't help my wife if she doesn't know that I'm busy, overworking my brain trying to understand what I've done wrong and how to get out of it. And I've been in that situation. I need to share the journey with others, because I read a very powerful thing the other day. It said, the way I talk to my children now is the way they will talk to themselves in 20 years' time. So if I'm constantly putting pressure and saying all kinds of things, they're going to remember that, and when they're 30, they think that's the way I must talk to myself. And we have this beautiful opportunity that, say, out for us. But I need to know, I need to find my feet in terms of my identity and my faith. But I need to share that journey, because if I can, over time, it takes a long time, I know, but if I can help my children to understand where I am at, while at the same time trying to understand where they are at, and we can get on the same time on the same side of a problem, I think there's hope then. My father-in-law, before I got married, he was a beautiful man, sadly not with us anymore. But he gave me this metaphor. He said, whenever there's a disagreement, you have a choice. If the microphone is the problem, and this is me, and this is my wife, we can handle the problem like this, but we see it from opposite ends. Or we can do this, because then we're on the same side, and we see the same problem, and we share the same values of how to address that problem. And I think if we can kind of end towards that note, I'll ask you for some final input, because I think it's what you've said is so important, not to get stuck in the victimhood, not to think that the great ideas are going to happen if I don't do it. But our immediate support circle needs us to be honest with ourselves and with them, and build a family unit that can build a community.
And I think the problem that we have with modern families and modern society is that we live in these silos, that we live in these little bubbles of our own. That it's easier for us to communicate with our phone than to communicate with our partner. I can express myself better through WhatsApp message and looking into your eyes and telling you what I feel.
Whereas looking into your eyes, reading your body language is actually 80% of the communication.
Exactly. So I think we we're all living with huge burdens, and we can only redeem ourselves by sharing the burdens, by making others understand that these are the burdens that we carry. And like you said when we started, giving it a name, identifying what it is, if it's guilt, if it's remorse, if it's disappointment, if it's self-confidence, if it's all these other stuff that we're dealing with. It's all of it is more psychological. It's all of it's in our head. All of it's just the spinning around in our own bubble, and we're not giving it an avenue to express itself and to name it what it is, and understanding who we are, and also having a vision of who we want to be, the perfect me, understanding who the perfect me could be, and striving towards that all the time. You're not going to be that perfect you, but you have, or something that I do this in terms of introspection is, how would I like to be remembered? Not how do I see what, but how would I want people to remember who I am? What is my legacy? And my legacy is something that's important to me because it's the yardstick of whether I made a difference or not. So, and I always would like to think that my children will remember me the way I remember my father. Despite the very difficult relationship I had with him as a child, my most pleasant memories of him was the last 3 years that he was alive was the closest I've ever been to him. Yeah. And I was 30 years when he died. But when we found each other not as a parent relationship, but as a friend and as a confidant. And that is how I would love my children to be with me as well, and the legacy that I would want my children to remember me with by is that I was this person that they could confide in and that could understand them. And so too, everybody that is within my immediate circle, within my organization, I'm not doing enough in terms of building that, in terms of the values of Inspire Network. We need to work on that. We need to really work on that. We need to really get to the essence of who we want to be as an organization. And that, I think, is my huge mission, is to transform this organization into this positive force that really lives up to its name, but it's not something I can do as an individual. It's only something that can come about through a collective effort. And similarly, we need to make the world understand and ourselves understand that we are not islands. We are not alone in this. We are here to share each other's burdens. We are here to share each other's success as well, and each other's triumphs and each other's heartache as well. And this is when we truly love consciously, is to be in touch with our own feelings and our own emotions, and also with those around us, and understanding that everybody, we're all in this together. We're all in this together. Whatever's going through the world right now, the wars, the suffering, the difficulties, we're all in this together. And unless we can, collectively find the common bond, unless we find that, the common thread that keeps us together, unless we find that, we're going to be at cross purposes with each other all the time, and that is against the natural order of things. I don't know how much time we have, but
we're done.
Okay. But really have an appreciation for that. There's a natural order and there's this order, and our purpose is to find as close to the natural order of how the universe operates. Everything in the universe is harmonious, and the conflict that's in the conflict within the universe is with purpose. So conflict within our lives is with purpose. Conflict and difficulty and challenges are with purpose. It's there either to build us, it's there either to to avert us from other conflict, or it's there to, ensure that it's too philosophical to go into now, but we live with purpose.
We live with purpose. I want to, for you guys, close with a very good question and a story. Somebody once told a story, and they said there was a guy, he was sick and tired of Cape Town, and he's decided, I have to leave Cape Town. He packed his things, he put his car, made his car full of petrol, and he started driving. Now, the question is, where did he end up? Nobody knows, because he didn't know. And it's a silly little story, but I'll connect the dots for you now. My wife the other day asked a very, very good question of somebody who came to us for some direction. She said, if you could visualize yourself and your family in 5 years' time, looking back, what small pivotal step do you need to make now that will turn your life's direction, just that 1 degree, in a new direction? Because, 1 degree today is not much. But if we turn another degree tomorrow, and then another one, and then another one, soon we will find that our world looks completely different. So it doesn't help to run away from something not knowing where you're going. You can end up anywhere in the world, except in Cape Town, because that's where you don't want to be. And for the men out there, I want to say that Inspire Elsie's Radio sees you. That's why we have the show. We hear you. We understand the frustration. We've been through it ourselves. We have our own struggles. We're talking from experience. But inaction goes nowhere. You can't steer a car that is standing still. That beautiful idea won't work if we don't work. But it starts with deciding, where do I want to be in 5 years? Do I still want to be the husband that stays at home, that feels like a victim, that's given up because it is so hard? Or do I want to be the husband that has pulled my immediate family together and managed to talk about our differences? Remember, we always will be different. Strong relationships, the strongest relationships are those often between people that are most different, if they can have appreciation for each other's differences. And that's where we can win our children. If we build a kind of safe space where difference is okay. You don't need to like me, but I'm still your dad, so let's talk about it. Think, where do you want to be in 5 years' time? And what little thing can you do today and every day that will get you to your destination? We love Cape Town, so please don't leave. But we need that sense of purpose. So this is Johan de Meyer, Inspire Elsie's Radio. And remember, you don't need to know the answer to the problem before you start working on the problem. Thank you to Imraahn. I just want to say thank you. It's because of people like you that as a white South African I can enjoy my rights and my freedoms, because there was a 12-year-old that said, but I'm dreaming of something different. And kudos to that 12-year-old, and may there be...
I just want to leave you with the last point, if you don't mind. Because you were talking about degrees.
Yeah.
This is a concept that I always reinforce with especially young people.
Yeah.
About small changes. 1% today is 100% in 100 days.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's take hands, people. Across generations, remember, hopefully there's some young men also watching the show. Remember, we may be 50, 60 and a bit odd because we remember phones that you had to wind up before you could call. but there's wisdom in the collective. So thank you for that. Thank you for the work you do, and see you next Monday.